This is happiness, to be everything at once. Be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.
Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new episode of Mood Prep. My name is Dave Nixon and it's the start of a week. If you're up to scratch, if you're not up to scratch, then it's the start of whenever the fuck you listen to this podcast then, I guess, I suppose. Anyway, doesn't matter. Either way, we're going to talk about unblocking your heart now. My Instagram, if you don't have me on Instagram, it's at ddnix. You can follow me or check it out, or just not follow me or not check it out. Whatever you want to do, I don't really care. But the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I have this OCD thing with 3, and sometimes I'll use each picture as, and so people are like, oh my god, I hate this type of people. Yep, I'm that guy. You can hate me, it's fine. But it says, unblock your heart. 3 different words across 3 different pictures, and so when you actually open up the Instagram, that makes it visually appeasing for myself. And I had a comment on there saying, are you going to explain this on the podcast? And I was like, well, why not? Let's pull it apart. I suppose I probably would have explained it on some detail before in the podcast at some point. I'm not sure when, but on each photo it says unblock, and then I'll have a caption around unblocking, and then it says your, and then I talk about your, and then I say heart, and then I talk about heart in the caption. And so what I've gone and done is pulled apart a couple of things from each parts of those captions, and I'm going to pull it apart a bit further now on the show. So hopefully this makes sense to you. Once again, unblock your heart is effectively what's the name of this podcast, but it's something that first, I suppose, came to my attention when I started doing a lot more deeper work around not personal development work, as in trying to improve myself, more like deep personal work, where I was getting to the deeper parts of myself that, you know, it's often seen that we want to, in today's world, kind of add things to our personality, or add certificates, or add all these achievements, and, you know, achieve all these things and set out goals and crush them. And I think that's all well and good, but for the greater part, it's actually knowing ourselves on a deeper, more intimate level that's really important. Because you have some people who achieve a lot, and fuck me, they are lonely. They feel empty, and the reason being is because, well, they probably have something blocking their heart. They probably think that by achieving these things, that gives them a particular status, or that they'll finally get approval from somebody in particular. And even though they're a high achiever, they never feel fulfilled. The difficult thing about this is that it's a really big motivator, and it's one of the reasons why they're successful. And it's difficult to let go, because it fuels so much achievement and success and momentary pleasure, but unfortunately what it's doing is conditional. It's conditional love, it's conditional happiness, it's conditional self-acceptance, it's all that sort of stuff. And so it's really about going, what is it that within me, in my heart, that really drives me to do something, and learning how to access that by ourselves is so crucial. Because, you know, that even in itself is an achievement. It may not be an achievement that you put in a certificate, like you frame it and put it on your wall, or you can, you know, sort of take a photo of it and let people like it on Instagram, so to speak. But yeah, cool. So let's start off with that anyway. So that's kind of where it all came down to. But unblocking your heart. So in the first caption, I start talking about unblock, and I go on to say, we cannot speed up the river. We can only unblock it. The river will run as it always has, and as always, the hardest things to move rest under the surface. It's easier to act like they're not there, and this is how we lie to ourselves. Subtle selective ignorance. That is, until we realize that we cannot address emotional and spiritual needs with logical thinking. Unblock. Free yourself. So what am I getting at there quickly? So we cannot speed up the river. A lot of people try to develop themselves and improve and achieve and do all these sorts of things by sitting in a river and just flailing their arms trying to speed the river up, because they want to succeed and progress and do all these things as fast as they can. They want to, even seeing people try and like move through spirituality and understand themselves on a significantly deeper level, they try and speed the process up. It's like, buddy, you can't speed it up. You can only slow it down. And so the whole idea there is that the way that we can let our river of our life and everything that involve like that's part of that is that we must learn to unblock it, so we can only unblock it. So what we must do is go and figure out where the blockages are and start removing the things that are blocking it. In this circumstance, the example is rocks often. And the reason why is because it's usually under the surface of our consciousness that are the things that are blocking the flow of our river. And so this is where some of the rocks and things that we can't really see, and it's harder to grip, and it's harder to really pull, and it's a lot of work, and it's hard, and sometimes you fail, and it's painful, you might hurt yourself. All this sort of stuff lays under the surface, but if we don't do something about it there, it'll always stay there, and it'll always block our river, if you're following the metaphor. And it's easy to act like it's not there, and this is how we lie to ourselves, by everything's fine, everything's okay, and that subtle selective ignorance is being selective around our ignorance, which is, ignorance comes from the word ignoring what's really going on, and we got to have a subtle attention to it. That is, until we realize that we cannot address emotional and spiritual needs with logical thinking, and there's a lot of us that will do that. It's like we feel like something's empty, so we go and try and achieve more. It's like achieving more isn't going to make you feel less empty. Buying another car, sleeping with another person, doing all these particular things, just trying to accumulate more is not going to fill up the cup that's empty, because it's the equivalent of taping sandwiches to your body if you're hungry. Like, you got to go on the inside, buddy. That shit got to go on the inside. So you got to go deep and get that shit under the surface, so to speak. So that's where the whole idea of thinking and unblocking and freeing yourself from there. So number 2, which is the word your. And I go, there is a reason your and our is so closely spelt, and what's yours is ours. Your pain is our pain, and yet it's no one else's job to heal our pains. That's our role, and that means our own individual role. Maybe the cause of the pain wasn't your fault, and I really believe that. A lot of the stuff that happened in our childhood we can't do much about, and we could do much about at that point. But now, as adults, where we live and where we are today in this moment, it is our responsibility to do the healing that we deserve. And this is the thing I want to really drive home, is that people are like, it's so hard, it's so painful, I don't know where to start. And I'm like, I fucking get it. 100% I fucking get it. But what you don't realize is that it's so much more painful not doing it. I say this so often. It's like you get a choice of short-term pain, long-term pleasure, or short-term pleasure, which is often just ignorance. It's not pleasure, for long-term pain. And that's up to you to make those decisions, up to no one else. And so what originally wasn't our fault, that's fair enough. But as adults, we must accept it's our responsibility. And then under heart, it goes, it knows the truth. It knows your potential. It's waiting for the head to remove what's blocking it. It's waiting for you to trust it. And the timing is just never quite right, because it never will be, which means we either take it to the grave or we let down our walls and unfold in this moment, this very moment. What you want is accessible. I chose that word very specifically, very, very specifically. You just have to let go of the parable that holds you to the past. You have to unblock your heart. Let's have a look at that, okay? So the heart it knows the truth. In fact, we've got three centers of the body, and that's the head, or the brain rather. It's the thinking, it's the heart, which is the feeling, and the gut, which is effectively the doing, right? The moving, so to speak. And so when these three brains, when we can clear out the junk and listen to these in unison, that's where our actual personal intelligence truly comes from, rather than trying to achieve things to impress people that just don't give a fuck. And sometimes those people are our parents, and the sooner we can realize that, the easier it becomes. But the thing is that your heart knows the truth, and it also knows your potential. It's just waiting for you to stop thinking that you need to logically solve a solution for it to be able to be happy in every single fucking moment. It doesn't work like that. I go on to say the timing is never quite right, and this is a reminder. This is a reminder because there is never the right time. I think there's potentially wrong timing, and I often talk about right timing being a good thing, but what I'm getting at here as a deeper conversation is like, if you want to do something, the timing, it will never line up and be perfect. If you're looking for the perfect moment, it doesn't exist. The beauty of that means that, and like it says straight afterwards, because it never will be, which means every single fucking moment is perfect. It's exactly how it is. How are we meant to know better than the fucking universe for 7 billion people, let alone all the living organisms on this planet? The universe knows what's up. Fucking trust it. Like, come on. We're a part of the universe, and the universe is a part of us. And when we can really truly understand that on a deeper level, rather than just like, oh, that's a nice quote, fucking put that up. Like, when we truly understand that, we then actually stop resisting all the shit that's coming for us. So Here's the reason, though. I go on to say, which means we either take it to the grave or we let it down our walls and unfold in this moment. I say let down our walls because we build these walls to protect ourselves, not realizing that we're hurting ourselves. It's these rules that we've built up, this belief in our belief that it's called dogma. It's these things that are actually hurting us. It's not what we're actually blocking out, because the things that hurt us when we're young, we didn't understand, but it's now the things as we get older that we need, and we need to make sure that we're able to actually let down our walls and be vulnerable, for the reason being is that vulnerability is the pathway to what it is that your heart wants you to do. You can't think your way there. That's only a part of the process. What you want is accessible. It means that at any given time, at any moment, it's actually accessible, just like spirituality is, just like consciousness is, just like a deep consciousness is. These deeper states that we're constantly attempting to go in and elicit. It's the same as happiness. All of these things are available and accessible at any given fucking moment in the history of the world. It's up to us if we know how to get there. If we teach ourselves and train ourselves to access these things, we can do that with love and by breaking down these walls and letting go of the parable that holds us to the past that built the fucking walls in the first place. Do the work. Learn to unblock your heart. The people around you, or the soon-to-be people around you, will thank you for it. So will future you, and younger you will be very proud. Team, that's it. I'm out. If you enjoyed this podcast, it would mean the world to me if you pass it on to someone else that you think would also enjoy it. As always, if you haven't already, jump on Facebook and jump in the Mood Prep Online group. I'd love to see you in there, continue the conversation. I'd love to hear what part of this you found the best, or that sort of got you thinking the most. Chuck it in the group. I want to talk about it. Otherwise, if you're a coach, a PT, or an athlete, check out my Connected Coaching Seminar. I've got one more this year. I've got a 3-day intensive, and there's a coach's circle. Just check it out. If you want to hang out, come see me. Otherwise, peace and pizza. Kick today in the dick. Slay the dragon. I'll see you guys soon.
To be everything at once, be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.